the best-selling book that made people feel good and asked us to find our why. Find out about the book that has more than 56 million views and growing on TikTok and was the basis for one of the most popular TED Talks of all time. Simon Sinek started a movement more than 10 years ago that got millions of people to ask what their organization's why was and demand that they have a reason at work. Since then, millions of people have been changed by the power of his ideas, which are still as important and timely today as they were then. Start with why asks and answers. The question of why some people and groups are more innovative, influential, and profitable than others. Why do some customers and workers stick with them more than others? Why are only a small number of successful people able to keep being successful? Martin Luther King Jr., Steve Jobs, and the Wright Brothers all did different things, but they all started with why. They learned that people won't really buy into a product, service, movement, or idea until they know why it's important. Start with why shows that the world's most influential leaders all think, act, and talk the same way, which is the opposite of what most people do. Sinek calls this powerful idea the golden circle. It gives a structure for building groups, leading movements, and inspiring people. And everything begins with why. Simon Sinek's book, Start with Why: How Great Leaders Inspire Everyone to Take Action, is a guide to how starting with why can motivate people to act. The book is split into 3 parts, and each one talks about a different reason why it's important to start with why. Part 1. A world that doesn't start with why. Chapter 1. Assume you know. This chapter talks about what happens when you think you know the answer without knowing why. It talks about how important it is to know why in order to get people to move, and gives examples of companies that have done well by starting with why. Chapter 2. Carrots and Sticks. This chapter talks about the problems with using carrots and sticks to motivate people and why it's important to start with why to tap into their intrinsic drive. Part 2. An Alternative Perspective. Chapter 3. The Golden Circle. This part explains the idea of the golden circle, which is to start with why, then how, and finally what. It talks about how important it is to start with why and gives examples of companies that have used the golden circle effectively. Chapter 4. This is not opinion, this is biology. This chapter looks at the biological reasons for starting with why, such as how the limbic system helps us make decisions and how important emotional links are. Chapter 5. Clarity, Discipline, and Consistency. This chapter talks about how starting with why needs to be clear, structured, and consistent. It talks about how to come up with a clear why, how to stay on track when talking about it, and how to make sure actions are always in line with the why. Part 3. Leaders need a following. Chapter 6. The Emergence of Trust. This chapter looks at how starting with why and building trust work together. It talks about how important trust is in leadership and shows how some leaders have built trust by starting with why. Chapter 7. How a Tipping Point Tips. This chapter talks about how important the tipping point is when asking why. It talks about how to start a movement by paying attention to the early users who share the same why. Chapter 8. Start with why, but know how. This chapter talks about how important it is to find a balance between the why and the how. It talks about how to put the why into action by focusing on the how, and it gives examples of companies that have gotten the why and the how to work well together. Chapter 9. Know why, learn how. So what? This chapter gives a review of the book and talks about how important it is to start with why when trying to get people to act and build trust. In his book, Start with Why: How Great Leaders Inspire Everyone to Take Action, Simon Sinek explains in detail the power of starting with why. The book talks about everything from the limits of carrots and sticks to how people make decisions based on their biology and how important it is to build trust. The author gives clear explanations, useful tips, and examples from real life to help readers understand why it's important to start with why and come up with effective ways to get people to act and build trust. This book is a great tool for leaders who want to get people to take action and reach their goals. Thanks for watching our Amazon book review. If you found our review helpful and you're interested in checking it out for yourself, we've included a link to it in the description below. By clicking on that link, you'll not only get more details about it on Amazon, but also support our channel at no cost to you. So go ahead and click that link to grab your copy of the book and dive into an exciting reading journey. Happy reading, and thanks for your support.